All right, everyone, welcome back into another props video. Going to be breaking down the top prop bets for this Sunday night showdown slate between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Detroit Lions. Let's go ahead and get into it. So as always, guys, I'd like to start off with a quick game preview, and this one is certainly interesting here with the high game total that we have, 52.5 total points. So we are likely probably trying to do some stacks for some overs here with this game that's projected to be a shootout. It is worth calling out the game is also a close game as well. I'm shocked that's like a 2.5 point spread on average in favor of the Chiefs. I would put it more as like a toss-up, a true 50-50, because the Lions have looked good. Other than that week 1 game against the Green Bay Packers, they've looked great, and I contribute that week 1 loss as a Packers fan to the Packers being prepared to enter the season and the Lions not. Just remember, they did not play their starters throughout the preseason. The Lions didn't. I just think it was a game of rust, and honestly, the Packers are just a good team as well. Now, this does feel like a spot that the Chiefs need it more, if that makes sense, right? Like just coming in off of a loss against a terrible loss against the Jaguars, right? Which has been basically every Jaguars win. It does feel like a spot where the Chiefs just need it more. So I guess I get why it's 2.5 point favorites, but I do like this bet of the Detroit Lions to win at plus 125 on BetMGM. That's a bet I wanted to call out to you guys. Now, real quickly, I do want to start off with this, kind of the box score from last week's game for the Chiefs. This is something I did on the DFS video because I do think it's interesting as well. Me watching the game and then coming back to the box score and seeing like the discrepancies of kind of what I thought based off of what we saw and then the box score, I was shocked. I thought Tyquan Thornton probably played more snaps than Juju. And it obviously wasn't really all that close. Now, route share was, Tyquan ended up playing 51% of the snaps, Juju 59%. And guys, I keep telling you guys, Tyquan Thornton's great. I told you guys to draft him in best ball drafts as kind of the last round pick, and he continues to look good. Like I don't see a difference. And this is probably a hot take, and obviously the route tree is much more limited with Tyquan Thornton. But talent-wise, with how they've been used, I don't see a big difference between Worthy and Tyquan right now. I would take Worthy, and I love Worthy tonight. We're going to talk about him as well. But this is to drive home a point that I wouldn't be surprised if Tyquan continues to have success and maybe has played himself into more snaps. And then another thing that shocked me as well, I was so surprised when I saw Preseason Smith at 8% of the snaps. He had 4 opportunities in that game. He ended up with 3 targets, and those were all design plays for him as well. I don't know what we do with that. I don't. It's worth calling out that for 2 straight games now, he has been on the field a limited amount, but he has had plays designed to him as well. It makes sense for him to get more work, and with this being more of a shootout game, maybe the Lions are playing with the lead where they need to go with Smith a little bit more. They need his big play upside in the passing game. I don't know what to do with that, but I did think that was worth calling out to you guys as well. And it was nice to see Travis Kelce get a little bit more involved. Kind of his best game of the year, 7 targets, ended up with a touchdown there as well. 81% of the snaps, 73% route share as well. Now, I do want to start this video out with some Xavier Worthy prop bets. And I don't really get why we're getting his line so low. So the average sportsbook line has him about 5.5 for his reception line, and they're heavily favoring the under there. And to me, that's just shocking. Okay, we see him at 5 receptions, and I don't understand it. Okay, and again, looking at all the lines, like basically all the books have him at 5 receptions. You can on Novig and Prop Bet X, you guys can get him at 4.5 receptions. I like that over a decent amount, but yeah, basically all the sites are giving us him at 5.5 receptions. I like that over. I do. And to me, there are really 2 main factors as to why I like this. One, he got the over last week, and he got the over against the Baltimore Ravens, or got a push there with the Baltimore Ravens in week 5. That game was much more of a run-heavy approach. We know against the Chargers, that game doesn't really count, right? Because he played limited snaps, got injured in that game, where the game plan was specifically designed around him, where we saw Hollywood Brown go off in that game. So I'm kind of, in a weird way, marking that as 2 for 2 in terms of getting the over, and then 1 push thus far this season. And he gets a matchup here with the Detroit Lions, who, I get it, the Lions actually don't give up that many receptions to opposing receivers, only 55 on the season. Okay, and so that might mean people don't want to bet on his over receptions, and maybe that's why we're getting this low of a line. And the contrast of that, guys, is that's like bottom 15 in terms of receptions given up. They rank 26th in the league in terms of receiving yards given up, and that is including the Giants and the Eagles there. And so obviously that could be a little bit different after this week as well. They've given up 800 receiving yards and a touchdown as well. Maybe you want to bet on Xavier Worthy to score a touchdown in this game as well. Looking at it, he is due, I would argue. Again, high-scoring game. Wouldn't be shocking if their best pass catcher scores a touchdown. If you want to bet on him for over receiving yards, that's a viable option as well. I don't hate it. Again, they do give up a lot of receiving yards, but the Kansas City Chiefs offense is designed around short passes that open up the plays downfield. And so me at Xavier Worthy, 5 receptions, I'm just like, this one is just one I cannot pass up on. I'm willing, if this one misses, to be fine with that. Like, this is one that to me just stands out as a bet we should be making. There are some cases on one game slates where we are forcing bets because it's a one game slate, because we're trying to get action on that. I don't feel like this is that situation. So then I do want to go ahead and get to Tyquan Thornton. Again, I do think there's a good chance that he ends up getting more playing time in this game. And if it ends up being a shootout, maybe the Lions are playing from the lead. That is what we want if we are betting on Tyquan Thornton, where he's forced to be on the field. But I think him to get over 1.5 receptions, if that's a bet that you guys can make, it's not really a bet that we can make on PrizePicks or Underdog currently because those markets aren't available there. But, you know, any of these other sites are giving him a 54% chance to get that. I would suggest that should be the over. The projection data has him at 1.84. You know, we like that. That's a big, prop line difference. I think he has a great chance to get over 16.5 for his longest reception. That's a bet that I like on all the sites as well. And then we look at his, receiving yards as well. 24.5 across the board here, guys. That ends up being a bet that I like as well. Now, don't get me wrong. I get people are going to be a little bit hesitant to bet on this. We are seeing some differing lines as well. PrizePicks has them at 25.5, Underdog at 26.5. Always want to be making the best decision possible. When it comes to that, he is projected, though, to get 31 as well. And again, it's just one of those situations where this is the weakness of the Detroit Lions defense. And as you guys saw, or as I mentioned earlier, sure, the receptions, maybe not the spot we want to get to, but they do give up a lot of receiving yards. And guys, it is worth calling out. I should make a montage of this. I really should. And let's just see here, guys. This is one of the plays where Patrick Mahomes actually kind of hit Tyquan Thornton open. Great catch there by Thornton in the game against the Giants. Here's another play where, sure, I give Patrick Mahomes a pass. This was a tough throw, but if he's able to hit him in stride, that's like a walk-in touchdown as well. Again, he has pressure. It ends up being a great throw there from Patrick Mahomes, but wide open. Like, that's a missed touchdown there. And again, I'm not blaming Mahomes. Great play. And sure, here's another video of Patrick Mahomes actually hitting him being open. That's the funny thing about trying to find clips on axes. They're really not going to point out the clips in which he has missed Mahomes on. I need to make that montage for myself. The point is, guys, Tyquan Thornton has been playing like a stud. And it's tough for me to imagine him not having a good game in this high-scoring game. If it was a game in which the Chiefs were projected to win by a decent amount, low-scoring game, we could expect Pacheco and Kareem Hunt to get a bunch of work. But with it being a high-scoring game, it's just tough to imagine the air yards not being there for Tyquan Thornton. And, again, Patrick Mahomes needs to be a little bit more consistent, hitting him on those deep balls, but at least he's getting wide open, right? And then I do want to call out the lines for Thornton Smith there. They're ugly. I wouldn't bet on him. Again, 8% of the snaps. You really can't bet on that. But can I bet on the amount of design plays he's going to have? I'd bet the over 2.5 there, design plays, which is basically a bet on him to get over 2.5 receptions because they'll probably be in the passing game. But you can't bet on 8% of this. You can't. If it was 20%, I still probably wouldn't do that. You're just relying on luck at that point, being correct in a very small opportunity of snaps. Where for me, in terms of placing good bets, I'm always trying to lock in a correct amount of snaps and then build outward from there. Where this would just be doing the opposite. Although I'm excited for him as a talent, like he has looked good thus far this season. And let's just expand this out a little bit further. Are there any prop bets that we can get into as well from there? I will say, just with the amount of snaps that Juju is playing, it's tough to imagine him not getting 3 receptions. He did only end up with 2 receptions in the last game, only 3 targets. He is playing the second most snaps, though, among the receivers. And again, that's how you attack them. Travis Kelce, again, finally got going last week. We'll see if that's a sign of things to come. I'm not really comfortable betting on him over 4.5 receptions. It just wouldn't be shocking to see him have a big game. In terms of predictability, like Hollywood Brown probably going to get 4 receptions. I wouldn't want to bet on that, though, because I don't think there's a strong chance that he ends up getting the over. Now, in regards to the Detroit Lions, they do draw more difficult matchups. Okay. It is worth calling out that Khalif Raymond is currently questionable. To me, that's the biggest difference maker on the slate, because if the Chiefs are going to win this game, I think, and this would be the bet, if you guys think the Chiefs are going to win this game, maybe be up for most of the game as well, where the Lions are having to play from behind and Isaac Tesla is having to play more because of Khalif Raymond being out, then Tesla is someone that I do like to bet on, simply because I do think we can kind of correctly project his playing time. Last week, guys, he ended up playing in only 34% of the snaps, but had a 54% route share. That was in a game against the Bengals where they just crushed them. We saw the Lions deploy a lot of 12 and 13 personnel, so a lot of 2 tight end sets or multiple tight end sets. Again, if this game is much more of a shootout, I don't necessarily think we can see that happen. It is funny that we are getting his receiving yards at 12.5. but his receptions is at 1.5 with a plus money bet there. And so why not just bet on him to get over 10.5 for his long reception? That's kind of what we'd be doing there, right? So interesting line there. I think that ends up being the route that we would want to go there with Isaac Tesla. Again, he's looked great. He kind of seems like the type of guy that would break out on a Sunday night football game as well. Just kind of seems like the correct spot for him. Now, to me, guys, if the Detroit Lions are going to be in this game, it almost feels like it has to be a Jameson Williams game. It hasn't been for quite some time. Okay, he has really kind of struggled there. And I just think St. Brown's going to draw a lot of the defensive attention. He has been a stud. There's no doubt in that. But I just think that's the way you attack the Chiefs is with Jameson Williams. I don't necessarily like that bet. I think it ends up being a pretty darn risky bet as well. Can we bet on Jahmyr Gibbs potentially? Maybe. The issue is we know that it is a split workload in that backfield, and like Gibbs, 64.5 rush yards, probably the correct line. I probably do like that over a little bit there in that game. David Montgomery obviously got going in the last game against the Bengals because it was a blowout. You're going to run David Montgomery a little bit more as well. It was kind of a homecoming game for him as well, kind of a fun game for him as well to be involved in that. So it's not surprising that they designed that game in a game where they're blowing out the Bengals for it to be more of a David Montgomery game. And so naturally, I kind of like Gibbs as well. It is worth calling out the one place you can kind of attack the Chiefs is like with quarterback and their rushing yards. That was kind of a bet that I somewhat recommended last week with Trevor Lawrence for over his rush yards. I did not make the bet of the day slip, but it was a bet that I called out as one I didn't mind. Can we get Jared Goff rushing the football a little bit here in this one? This was a bet that I did call out, I believe, earlier on the week when it was at a very low number. No, that was Tua. But it is a good matchup. And like, I wouldn't mind betting him to get like over 2 rushing yards or something like that for him to rush the football on a play or two, but definitely not at 19.5 or even 14.5. Just don't do that. And so the bets that we can be on are pretty tight. That's what I'm trying to get at here, guys. Maybe like pass attempts if it ends up being more of a shootout. And then let's just say that we are seeing that the Lions are struggling to rush the football. Maybe Jared Goff is forced to throw the football more than 32 times. We haven't really seen that except for that game against the Green Bay Packers. That game against the Green Bay Packers, they were rusty and the Packers dominated them. And so they had to throw the football more. If you think the Chiefs are going to win, this ends up being like one of the better bets. That's the issue though, right? But with it being a high-scoring game and a close game, I do think we can buy into this. As long as the Lions aren't dominating the Chiefs, this ends up being a good bet as well. We are kind of having to force some bets in here other than the 3 that I kind of mentioned that I really liked, or 2 that I really liked here in this game. Now, I do want to just jump into some of the best bets that we are getting in this game. Harrison Buckner to get over 1.5 field goals made is an interesting one. He has somewhat struggled. And again, with being a close game, you kind of never know what to expect. If it ends up being more of a shootout feel, again, like it's projected to be, maybe the Chiefs are trying to go for it 4th and 3 when they, in a different game, they might kick the football. 52.4% chance to hit. I'm okay with that. I bet that I don't mind is Connor to get over his tackles and assists here of 6.5. That ends up not being a terrible bet there. And then it is worth going into some of the prop bets that we were getting for Detroit in terms of PrizePicks bets. This Sam Laporta one is interesting. He was someone that I called out last week as someone that I really liked for DFS purposes, especially like at his price tag. If you guys play like DraftKings, you know what I'm talking about there. This is a much more difficult spot for him. And so I think, this is probably correct. 53% likelihood for his under to hit. Do I necessarily want to target an under in a game that's projected to be this high scoring? I don't. Okay, so worth calling that out. I do want to get into some pick 6 prop bets. So if you guys are someone that plays on pick 6, we are getting a bunch of decent tackles and or solo tackle prop bets here. So 53.9% likelihood. So that's pretty good for pick six, where they have been kind of pricing out a lot of the prop bets there. So not terrible there. Those two bets right there are pretty solid. If you want to attach that to one of the other bets that I've recommended, by all means, go ahead and do that. Now, guys, before we go ahead and get into the bet of the day, I do just want to recap the London game because the 9 to 5 data was pretty much on point with how that game was going to go. We had 4 really good bets for their under fantasy scores, and it's just super tilting that the one that missed was freaking Josh Reynolds. That's like the only player that did anything in that game, and it's like Justin Fields couldn't throw a football. So very tilting that one missed and ruined that bet slip there. That London game was pretty darn ugly. The underdog bets that I gave out for that game sucked. Now, the one that I had the most conviction on is one that I told you guys earlier on the week that I liked as well was Evan Ingram over his reception. So at least that hit. I gave you guys that earlier on the week with Taco Tuesday as well. So hopefully you guys were able to use that one at least. Annoying game. That was tilting there that he got that over in that brutal and ugly game. All right, guys, so go ahead and get into my bet of the day here. I do think this is a bet slip that does correlate pretty well here with this 4-slip bet. And then I'll give you guys some fantasy score prop bets that we're getting as well. So for those of you that specifically play on PrizePicks and Underdog, going to be a good spot there. Worthy and Taekwon Thornton, if they are getting their overs, I think that strongly helps both Tesla and Goff get their overs as well, because that is indicating that the Chiefs have been able to attack the Detroit Lions via their weakness, which is obviously in the passing game. Okay, so I think this bet actually correlates pretty well and ends up being a strong bet. Now, maybe you don't want to bet on Taekwon Thornton, like a plus money bet like that. You could end up just doing a standard line bet for him. I don't mind that idea as well. So yeah, I do just want to show you guys some of the fantasy score prop bets that we are getting here. I don't necessarily like these ones for the Chiefs because, again, it is supposed to be a high scoring game. That being said, if we are betting on like Kareem Hunt and Pacheco for one of their fantasy scores, it somewhat makes sense. Although I do think there's a good chance that Hunt or Pacheco score a touchdown. It would probably be Hunt. That'd be my bet on him. Travis Kelce, the under his PrizePicks fantasy scoreline. I actually don't mind this. There's a pretty big prop line difference between how PrizePicks is valuing him compared to how Underdog, the average sports line, and the projection data is valuing him. So if you want to use that bet with the 4-slip bet that I just gave you guys on PrizePicks, by all means. Obviously, if you think that he's going to have a good game, bet on his over on Underdog. Exact same thing there with Xavier Worthy, where you're going to bet his over on Underdog, where they are not properly valuing him. I don't really like this one for Noah Gray. Just wanted to toss one out. Just not that good of a bet. And we go ahead and get into Detroit, guys, as well. This is looking at PrizePicks, but we can already see, like, if you like St. Brown, you're betting his over on Underdog. If you like Laporta, you're going to bet his over on Underdog as well. These are okay unders. Sorry, you're going to bet the overs on Underdog. If you want to bet their unders, again, you could do it on PrizePicks. We are seeing a decent amount of prop line differences between the two sites, which is good. But that's going to do it for this video. Appreciate you guys being here. Leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel as well. If you guys are looking to place some bets on PrizePicks or Underdog and you guys have never signed up before, make sure you use the promo codes that are linked in the description below. That's a simple and easy way to help out the channel as well. It is worth calling out, guys. Sleeper currently has a discount as well for Xavier Worthy, 58.5 receiving yards. If you guys like that bet, it's not terrible. I think it's one that we would make. Again, that's where you'd want to attack the Detroit Lions. You could then go ahead and use maybe Kyle Pitts for over 3.5 receptions. That's a bet that I actually like for Monday Night Football. With Darnell Mooney expected to sit, I think he ends up being a decent one. If you guys like that bet on Sleeper, guys, make sure you use the promo code 9TO5. That'll give you guys $50 when you spend your first $5. And again, simple, easy way to help out the channel. You can also use that promo code for PrizePicks. If you guys are looking to sign up for Underdog for the first time, the promo code is going to be 925 spelled out. Again, simple and easy way to help out the channel. If you guys would like access to any of the tools that you saw in this video, they are all available for a low monthly cost of $10 a month. Including that is all the tools available on the 9 to 5 Sports website. Fantasy golf tools. We just hit Xander Schauffele as an outright winner at 12-1 for this week's tournament. So good stuff there. And then that'll give you access to all the NFL DFS tools as well. Thank you guys for watching. Good luck. And as always, let's keep cashing.